The following is a presentation of the Matt Talk Podcast Network.
The mind of Pat Popolizio is a wondrous thing. And for you Pack Wrestling fans, you'll get to go inside the mind of the Skip each and every episode here on the Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast. Now, here's your host, NC State Director of Athletics Digital Communications, Brian Reinhardt.
Welcome back, NC State wrestling fans, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast. Thank you for downloading this episode, and if you have not done so already, please go in and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. It's as simple as searching Pack Mentality as the keyword. As always, I'm your host, Brian Reinhardt, and sitting across the boardroom table today, he is your head coach of the NC State wrestling team, Pat Popolizio.
Hello, Brian.
Pat, it's been a couple of weeks since we put out our last broadcast, and if you have not done so yet, go back in the archives and give it a listen. But our fans really responded to it and enjoyed your preseason breakdown of the lineup. Yeah,
it was a lot of information thrown out there, and going to have a lot more moving forward. So it's definitely been exciting information for NC State wrestling.
We want to thank everybody that has left us a rating on iTunes. It really helps us out. So if you have not done so already, please take the time to do so and leave a rating or review on iTunes. This week's episode, backed by popular demand. I guess you have to say it's more of our guys asking to be on the broadcast, but we return with a guest for a little bit of a different perspective about the young season. That will be coming up a little bit later, so this might be a little bit of a longer episode because we have a lot to cover. So Pat, I hope you're settled in that executive chair you got back there.
Ready to roll. Looking forward to it.
First, we're going to catch up on some early season action for the Pack and then look ahead to the duel against Old Dominion on Thursday night in Reynolds. It's been a busy first couple of weeks. That's the best way I would describe it. You guys started off up in Troy, New York. You had 3 duels and then a pod-style tournament to start the tournament. Then you came back to Raleigh. 3 duels, the Wolfpack Open. There is a lot that went into planning those home events. How would you think they went off?
I thought they were very successful. Starting with our Albany trip, always great and to be back and obviously my neck of the woods in the 518. Get some good home-cooked meals. Wrestling, my brother put on a first-class event, so there was a lot of good stuff that we took away from that competition. We got 3 dual meets in, and then the next day we're able to wrestle, mix and match our lineup a little bit, get some guys some experience. So that went real smooth, and travel up there, other than being about 17 degrees when we got off the plane. Don't miss that, by the way. But it was great, and getting our guys a different look with some new competition first time of the year. I thought that was the best part of it, is because these guys have been training with each other and competing with each other for so long. It was nice to kind of see some new faces and get some outside competition. Then we got back here, obviously geared up for 3 dual meets again. Wrestled our main lineup against Utah Valley, and I thought our guys competed hard and well. We were thankful to have the opportunity to wrestle some other teams and get some younger guys, some competition. That's what we need this time of the year, is to wrestle as many people as we can. And then moving into the next day, our open tournament, which is not an easy thing to do back-to-back. Appreciate everybody's hard work that put in time and energy to set that up, because the dynamics that go into running an open tournament is very challenging. And we're thankful to have so many clubs, high school parents, alumni, to help set that up, and then to our sponsors as well, some of our mat sponsors with Oak Grove Technology and the Hilton Garden Inn in Cary, the DoubleTree there, and then as well as Spino Lawn Care coming through big. So those guys obviously backing us there, but it was a great event. Our guys, I think we wrestled about half our starting lineup, little less than half, but more importantly, some guys that are redshirting, and shows what kind of depth we have from the results that we had in this past tournament. I thought we competed very hard, and obviously this time of the year we're going to make some mistakes, but we're constantly looking to improve on the competitions we had week to week, and go back to the drawing board and fix things. So I think when you look at the competitions, right now we're wrestling a hard pace. We're wrestling through positions. We're making some mistakes, which is good because I think we're coming out on the winning end on some matches, but still making some very, key mistakes in the match. So we just got to fine tune that. And as time goes on, we'll continue to improve in those positions.
Now, I'm really a stats geek, so I did a little bit of research, and counting with the 6 duels in the 2 tournaments, you guys have already wrestled a combined 146 matches, and that doesn't include the guys you're playing at redshirt yet. So there was no action this past weekend, which also ended up being Thanksgiving. So is it important to give them a little bit of a break before gearing up for a busy December?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, our season's very long. You look at the amount of time that you got to train to compete. I think from our experiences we've had over the years, we've kind of changed it a little bit this year in our training, and we are going in some training phases right now. So we just finished phase 1, and this is our break to regroup, get ready, and we're getting ready to hit phase 2 and come at it with a full force of training and some high-level competition. So it's going to be, the break that we had is well received, and get some rest, then heal up and get ready for the next level of competition that we have coming up.
So what was your schedule like over Thanksgiving?
Well, hopefully it was one that we were able to rest and not guys coming back too happy and too full. So it was good. Finished up working out Wednesday, and guys got to go home, see their families for Thursday, Friday, and we were back at it Saturday and Sunday with training. So looking forward to now back to a normal week and getting geared up here for a dual meet coming Thursday night.
I guess that was going to be my question. Thanksgiving, I'm a big fan. I love to eat all day. Wrestling, from someone from the outside, it would seem a little hard. How much do you worry about guys eating? What kind of instructions do you give them? Just that type of stuff.
Yeah, those are 2 things that don't mix too well, Thanksgiving and making weight. So it comes down to discipline, and our guys do a great job with it. So, that part is easy to manage when you got guys that know what they need to do. And if they're doing it right, they're not really missing meals. So it's one of those, we're coming back ready to roll. But it's tough on them, but I think at the same time it's good they were able to get some cross-training in, get their legs back underneath them, heal up. Because it's been a long couple weeks as far as our early season training and early season competition.
Now, you guys once again are in the top 10 in the NWCA USA Today coaches poll and are off to a 6-0 start this year, in dual action, I should say. The stat geek in me comes out once again, and I crunch some numbers, and they're just pretty impressive. You guys have outscored those 6 opponents 236-31, 3 shutouts, and have won 51 of the 60 matches in those duels. What's your early take on the season with the way you guys have kicked it off?
I think if you look at the lineup we got guys that can score some points, and not as a team as much as individuals that can go out there and put points up on the board. And that's, we've always preached that here, that we want some high level, high pace wrestling that is exciting to watch. And that's our style right now. And our guys have been very good at doing that and looking to, if they're in position to get a major decision, to go out and get that, and if they're in position to get a tech fall, to go get that. And obviously what makes wrestling exciting is when you can pin guys. And that's, I think, something that we've focused in on a lot this offseason is our top game, and it's showing right now. And I've been very impressed with that. We got to continue to improve on it. But I like the attitude and the points. I mean, it's all about the action that we can put out there on the mat, and we got to continue to grow that product.
Now, there are a lot of arguments right now about how important the dual season is compared to the ACC and NCAA championships, because those are obviously tournaments. Right now, there's no dual championship, but obviously you're getting trophies at the ACC and NCAA. But you guys have won 42 of the last 45 duels over the last 3 seasons. So you guys put a lot of emphasis coming away with wins in those duels. Am I correct?
Yeah, I think it's just a competitive team across the board from the top down with what we're trying to accomplish here at NC State. So yeah, you want to win in everything that you can do. And our guys have the same mentality. So, that's something we put a lot of focus into. If you're going to go out and compete, let's win it. You watch these guys play handball in practice, they're competitive. So that carries over to the dual meets. But, as a sport, we've got to continue to evolve, and dual meets got to matter to comparable to other sports that build up week to week. I think got to mean something. And right now it lacks that a little bit as a sport. You know, if you lose a dual meet, how does that impact you competing for a national title? Similar to the individuals, it might drop you in the rankings a little bit, make your road a little harder when you get to the national tournament. But right now there's really no setup for that in the dual meets. And I think that's what creates a fan base. You look back to the last couple of years, we've been able to grow our fan base here at NC State because of the competitive nature we've been able to put out there in dual meets, and it's attracting more and more people. So yeah, those duels matter. They might not really have an effect on the end result of what we place at the national tournament, but I think overall the product that you build, it helps when you're winning and creating a good environment.
So jumping forward now, you guys are back in Reynolds Coliseum this Thursday night at 7:30 and host Old Dominion. Wolfpack fans, if you have not done so already, visit gopack.com/buy tickets to purchase both season tickets and single match tickets. We need to see Reynolds filled with red this entire season. And Pat, you just touched on it. You guys had the Wolfpack duels in Reynolds, but now you have single opponents from here on out. How much are you and the guys looking forward to that home atmosphere?
A lot. I think that's, when you have 2 or 3 dual meets going at once, it takes away a little bit from the environment of a single duel and fans cheering and getting that kind of intense setting. So this will be exciting now to get back to single duels and hopefully getting big crowds and making it a great atmosphere here in Reynolds.
So this will be the 4th straight season you guys will be facing ODU in a duel, and NC State has won the previous 3. Besides an easy bus trip between Raleigh and Norfolk, how did NC State and Old Dominion appear on each other's schedules the last few seasons?
That goes way back to early years of coaching at Binghamton. Got a very good working relationship with Coach Martin Dixon, great guys. I think the rivalry started at Binghamton. They were in the same conference, and anytime you're competing against good competition, it makes you better, and they did. They beat us up first couple years at Binghamton and made us work. And as time went on, we built a good relationship. When I came down here to NC State, it was a no-brainer. I want to get those guys on the schedule because they do things right, and they're a hard-nosed team, and they got a lot of good individuals, and it's going to be a good dual meet.
So last year up in Norfolk, the Pack won 25-13. The duel started at 125 pounds, and NC State got 6 points with an injury default, then a decision at 133, and then a tech fall at 141. So it was 14-0 after 3 bouts. Would you agree that really set the tone in last year's win?
Yeah, I mean, it was unfortunate on their part. Anytime you get a kid that gets injured, you never want to see that happen. And just because of that, we were able to get 16 points. So, I think this year they got a very competitive lineup, some key individuals that we got to be ready to compete against because they're always producing All-Americans, and they got a lot of national qualifiers back. So it's going to be one of those that we got to get geared up, ready to wrestle for.
You kind of touched on my next point. I was going to say ODU placed 26 at last year's NCAA championships with 4 NCAA qualifiers, and pretty impressive stat. They've had an All-American each of the last 4 years. So the Monarchs are really a good early season test for you guys.
Definitely. I think this is for some individuals, like I said, we got to be ready to wrestle, and we will get tested. It's coming, it's coming off our long break that we've had. So it's one of those where we got to make sure that we've done everything to prepare and get on that 1 hour weigh-in. It's, business as usual for these guys, and just be ready to be in a 7-minute match and go the distance and wrestle as hard as we can.
So now going to look at the lineups a little bit. At 125 for NC State, Sean Foss saw his first action of the year and won the 125-pound weight class at the Wolfpack Open. But Tommy Cox is also off to a 9-3 start, with 2 of those losses coming to ranked foes. How is 125 going to play out moving forward?
Very well. We're at a point now where we got 2 valuable guys at a weight. We've got some other guys who are redshirting, so between Tommy Cox and Sean Foss, we're going to have 2 really good guys that can go out and wrestle. Sean's a little bit more limited on his time and action. He's got the experience, so he will. You'll see him in and out of our lineup quite a bit, but I think it proved this weekend that he's the guy at 125 pounds for NC State, and Tommy Cox is getting better and better each week that he competes. His work ethic and I think the biggest thing is he's maturing a lot mentally and putting some good size on him. So he's closing the gap pretty quick. Those two got to wrestle each other, and I think Sean, when you look at the score, he dominated the scoreboard. But for Tommy Cox to score some takedowns on Sean, that showed a lot of promise and development and growth, and his hard work's really paying off.
Now, when we broke down the lineup in the last episode, and if you have not done so, go back and listen, two of the weights we talked about that still need to be decided were 133 and 149. And as it turned out, we sort of had our own wrestle-offs in the Wolfpack Open, as both of those weights featured NC State wrestlers in the finals. At 133, we saw Jamel Morris put together a third-period comeback and defeat teammate Tariq Wilson. And at 149, we saw his twin brother Jamal defeat Bo Donahue with a third-period takedown in a close 3-2 final. How are those two weight classes playing themselves out moving into the ODU matchup?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the point. What we wanted is to put these guys in this tournament and see who could come out on top. It's unfortunate that I guess it's a good problem. They keep running into each other in the finals. We did it back up in Albany, same thing, and in our wrestle-offs as well. So they've, at 33, wrestled each other quite a bit, and Jamel coming out on top, and I think it keeps getting closer and closer. We got to give Tariq some time. He's a freshman now in the lineup for the first time. So I think you're going to see improvement week to week through him. Jamel's won those matches. But at the same time, he's shown some areas that he needs to work on when he's in a dual meet, when the environment's a little tougher. So we got a problem. We got to get resolved, and hopefully I can leave it up to those guys and let competitors step up and compete. But that's far from being decided right now, regardless of who's won. And we'll let time take its course in this and see the development of both guys as the season goes on.
And then we talked about what's going on at 149. Bo was out for a little bit, but came back. Jamal's moved up 2 weight classes, so those two are competing once again.
Yeah, and it's same situation there. You got one guy going up 2 weight classes that it's going to take him some time to get adjusted to that, and then you got Bo, who's been out of the lineup first time back, so it's his first weekend competing. So it's early in the stages yet, but those guys had a very competitive weight class. To me, it's going to come down to who steps up with outside competition and can win at that national level when we're in some of these tough tournaments and some dual meets. A lot of factors when you sit down and try to decide. It's never easy, and it's tough because these guys are competitors and they work hard and they're doing a lot of things right. So we got to do what's best for our program, our team, and who's going to put us in position to score the most points at the national tournament. But I think regardless, we're going to have a good guy both at 33 and 49 that can represent NC State and win and do all the right things we're asking them to do. So, yeah, it's not an easy decision, but good news is we're early in the stage of the game, and we're going to let these guys develop as the season goes on to find out who's going to be the guy.
So looking at 141, Kevin Jack's off to a 4-0 start, all bonus point wins in duels. He'll be facing his second-ranked opponent of the young season as sophomore Alex Madrigal is an NCAA qualifier last year at 133, who's in the rankings for the first time this season. What are you looking for in that ranked matchup?
Yeah, I think it's one of those where Kevin's, got to be ready to wrestle when he gets out there, because I think, the position he's in, he gets everybody's best match, or mentally those guys are focused, ready to come at him. But at the end of the day, that makes Kevin that much better because he's a competitor and he knows that there's a little bit of a target on his back. So his mindset's to go out, win a national title, and to do that, he's got to continue to get better week to week, and he's got to have goals for every match. And this is one of those matches. He's got to set a goal. Obviously he's a competitor and he wants to win every match, but we got to continue to work on different areas, and that's something we'll do as an individual when we sit down and talk and come up with some goals for him this next match. And at the end of the day, it's to win, and win as dominant as you can.
Jumping up to 157, we see another pair of ranked foes. Hayden Hidley, coming off a redshirt year, has won all 4 of his dual matches, all bonus point wins. Across the mat will be sophomore Larry Early, who transferred from Minnesota last year to ODU and is ranked number 10 this week by the open mat. What kind of early season test is this for Hayden in a duel?
It's great. I think it's the first time he gets to see a guy that, is coming in with some experience, and I guess people respect him to put him in the rankings. So that'll be a good test for him. I know he's up for the challenge. Watching him wrestle last competitions that we've had, very impressed with his demeanor and how just tough he is and how technically sound he is. So I like where we're at, and looking forward to that match, because I think, you got two great guys going out there to wrestle, and let's see who's going to come out on top. But I know Hayden will be ready for that test.
Somebody who I think has flown under the radar a bit for NC State so far has been Bullard at 174. He's gone 5-1 in the 6 duels, with his only loss 8-6 to Mejias of Oklahoma, who's still ranked number 13 in the country. Bullard will be facing a tough test in junior Sheldon Wright. He was an NCAA qualifier at 165, and Wright has been in the lineup for ODU each of the last 2 matchups against NC State. So what do you look forward to at 174?
I think you're going to see a conflict of styles for sure there. But I think it's going to make for an exciting match, and you're right. He's come in the last couple times we've competed against Old Dominion and has wrestled great and is a great competitor. So it'll be a good test for Bullard, and we just got to be ready to wrestle our type of match. And I know it's going to be high scoring, and it'll be one that you're going to want to see, because there's going to be a lot of action in that. I predict a very high scoring match on both sides, and it'll be a good test, because I do believe that Bullard's making some really good strides right now, and being 5-1 on the year is a good start for him, and this is a match he needs to win to continue to build on a season that we expect him to have.
So one other weight class that we talked about that was still up in the air was 285. We saw Malik McDonald pick up an OT win over Utah State's Dennis Dennison, who was ranked 18th nationally. But then the very next day, we saw Michael Boykin go 5-0 in the Wolfpack Open and claim top honors. How are you guys handling 285?
Similar to 33 and 49. I think right now, if you look, Malik's obviously won the wrestle-offs. It's going to come down to who can continue to win at the national level and beat the top guys. I think Malik right now is the only one that has that win, but then Boykin outplaces a guy. So we'll be in position to see a lot of great heavyweights this year, and I think Reno will be a good test. Both those guys will be there wrestling. The luxury we have is we got 2 unique styles of wrestling at heavyweight, so we can, depending if we need matchups, we can mix and match both those guys, and they're both good team players. And as time goes on, I'm confident one of them is going to step up and take the spot and earn it. I think the advantage right now goes to Malik, just because he's won those wrestle-offs and has shown he can compete at this level right now. So, but I do like having that. We got, like I said, 2 different styles of wrestling, and we'll use them to our advantage when we're out there competing.
Again, Wolfpack fans, if you have not done so already, visit gopack.com/tickets to purchase both season tickets and single match tickets. Pat, sounds like it's going to be a great night of action on Thursday in Reynolds between NC State and Old Dominion.
No doubt. And first single dual meet in Reynolds, one-on-one. So that'll be a good atmosphere, beautiful venue to compete in, and a lot of good energy there. So definitely looking forward to getting that arena packed up with as many NC State fans as we can get.
Our guest this week does not need an introduction, but since this is a podcast, we have to give him one. Pat, I sat down with Kevin Jack this week to talk about the start to his senior year. Obviously, he's very integral to the success you guys will have this season.
No doubt about it. I think his results speak for themselves, but more importantly, the demeanor, confidence, and his leadership is a big reason why we're in position with this program. He's learned a ton over the last couple of years, rebounding very well to some minor setbacks he's had, and to his ultimate goal being a national champ. But I think that's what defines who he is as a person, and he brings this swag that we need for this program right now. And it's just it's one of those, it's just hard to explain the confidence that he brings, and it's contagious with this team. And he's fun to watch when he competes, because he's constantly putting points on the board. So yeah, no doubt about it, he's been a major asset to this program.
So, Pat, that about wraps up the first part of our weekly podcast here. Thanks for breaking down the Wolfpack wrestling against ODU matchup. Everybody's going to be looking forward to this. I know you guys are excited to be in a single dual match inside Reynolds Coliseum. And now, stay tuned for our interview with senior Kevin Jack. Now joined by senior Kevin Jack. And Kevin, this is very exciting. You're our first student athlete guest. Donnie Vincent was our first guest, and he can't stop talking about his experience. So I hope you're just as excited to be here.
Yeah, of course. Great opportunity to be able to be a part of this.
Now, I ask you to do a lot of media interviews. You always do. You're always very nice, but you are more the quiet type when it comes to doing some interviews and talking about yourself. Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah, I would definitely say I'm a little more shy when it comes to the talking side.
But we're going to get that out of you. This will be your first of many podcast appearances, hopefully. Hopefully you'll want to come back after this. But just want to touch base on your early season. You're about a month in. You know, you started number 2 this year. Pat has said the target's on your back. Do you have any different thoughts going into matches? Do you see that? How do you feel about it?
I think throughout the past 2-3 years, I think I've been ranked up pretty high. So I've gotten a little experience of having guys wanting to wrestle me and coming here to wrestle me. So I think I've been able to prepare myself a little more since sophomore year to be ready for every guy, because every guy's going to want to give me their best match and wrestle me as hard as they can because they want to take me out. So I definitely try and get prepared for every single match no matter who I'm wrestling.
So you started your season at the NWCA All-Star Classic. How excited were you to get that call to compete at that event? That
was definitely pretty cool. I mean, it was my first time that they invited me, so it's definitely an honor being able to wrestle at such a prestige event and wrestling a guy that I've wrestled before, and being able to see where I was at the first match of the year was definitely exciting, and knowing all the work I've put in, and it was definitely a learning experience, see what I have to do, see what I've done to improve. So it's definitely a cool event.
Now, I know you never go into a match wanting your match to be the most exciting. I'm sure you rather tech a guy or get the pin. But your match with Bryce Meredith, Wyoming, probably was the highlight of the event with your late reversal. What kind of confidence does that give you going forward, not just against him, but just for the season?
I think it just shows where I'm at and the work I've put in throughout the summer, and just shows where my technique at, where my mental is, and just knowing like what I have to do and just where I'm at kind of right when the season starts against another top-ranked opponent.
Now you started your season 4-0 here, all in duels, bonus points each time out. How important is it to you in a duel to get bonus points for your team?
I think personally I'm trying to push myself to get those bonus points, and then especially for a team, being able to get 5 to 6 points on the scoreboard for the team is definitely something I try and work forward to every match and try and help push my team out a little more every time.
And we face ODU Thursday night inside Reynolds. I know you love competing in Reynolds. It's a great environment. You have a tough matchup. You're going to face a ranked opponent, Alex Mandrigal. He was an NCAA qualifier last year at 133, who has moved into the rankings this week. So what are you looking forward to in that ranked matchup?
I mean, I know he's going to give me his best match, so I'm just going to get myself ready. I know I have the crowd behind me, my team behind me, and just prepare myself mentally and physically and just get ready for the match and know that I have to go out and give 100% because I know he's going to give me 100%.
Kevin, I think that about wraps it up. I know you got to get to practice. You got to put in the work inside the mat room. But want to thank you for stopping by. I hope you come by again.
Of course. Thank you.
And I want to thank everybody for listening. This is your Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast. Until next time, Wolfpack Wrestling fans, go Pack.
The Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast is produced by the Mat Talk Podcast Network. For more wrestling podcasts, go to MatTalkOnline.com.